Summer has a way of making everything feel lighter, more open, more possible. But it also has a way of revealing what's already there. The patterns you've been living with, the relationships you've been navigating, the way you've been showing up in your own life. So, as you move into this season, there's a quiet question underneath it all. Are you losing yourself this summer or revealing who you really are? In this episode, we're talking about how summer can either become a season of distraction or a season of clarity, and how to move through it without abandoning yourself in the process. I invite you to grab your favorite beverage and settle in with me as we get you summer ready.
Becoming the magnificent me, empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poise and elegance, I can see I am who I was born to be.
Welcome to Becoming, Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment, a sanctuary for women who desire to live with purpose, grace, and quiet confidence. I'm Sinaisa Lusinger, your host, author, and transformation guide. Gentlemen are welcome to listen in, but this space is intentionally crafted for the elegant woman becoming all she's meant to be. If this conversation resonates and you'd like focused private support, I invite you to explore private coaching. You can find more information anytime at becomingpublishing.com. Now, let's step into today's topic. Summer is a time I think most people look forward to. Warmer weather, vacations, cookouts, longer days, celebrations. We think of summer love stories and much needed breaks. Summer doesn't change you, it reveals you. Let me explain. Summer removes structure. With longer days and time off comes more social exposure, more emotional openness, which means patterns become more visible. Relationship dynamics become clearer. Self-abandonment also becomes easier to notice. If you're single, this is a season where you typically will look for love. If you're taken, you still want to feel desirable and may have some compliments to fuel you. This season has a way of bringing in encounters that reinforce your primary love affair, the one you have with yourself. I have clients and people in general say to me all the time how much they want to have love and a partner in their lives. I always go back to lavishly loving yourself first. That is the foundation for any healthy, lasting marriage or relationship. As I explain in my book, Becoming Lavishly Loving, quote, lavish love is not something another person gives you. It is something you cultivate from within. True, lasting love begins within. Self-love is not found in being chosen. It is found in choosing yourself, end quote. I explain this fully in the book, but I had a negative encounter with someone from my past. They were upset about something I wrote in one of my books. Quote, years earlier, I would have gone into pleasing mode, explaining myself, justifying my intentions, trying to earn understanding. This time, I didn't. I recognized something immediately. I did not need to respond. I stayed on my throne, I kept my crown on, and refused to be moved, end quote. When you have healthy self-love, you don't need outside validation. It's always nice and makes you feel good to have positive feedback, especially when those kind words of affirmation come from someone you truly love. But you're not desperate for it because you're giving that to yourself every day in an unconditional way that strengthens your confidence and your inner knowing of who you are and what your value is. When your love picture is full, you have love to give others. My husband and I were recently out on date night and were talking to a couple next to us. As they were leaving, the lady said to me, "You're so beautiful." Then the next thing I knew, she was hugging me. It wasn't a nice to meet you, goodbye kind of hug. It was one of those lingering, I need something you have kind of hugs. In that moment, I knew she needed something, but not knowing her, I didn't know how to meet that need. So I simply said, "Bless you," in the most authentic, sincere ways that I could. My love picture was full. I practiced lavishly loving myself every day, and I had love and adoration for my husband on a daily basis. So I had that to give her in that moment. Whether you're in a relationship or alone, it's important to show that love and admiration to yourself. I look in the mirror every day and tell myself that I'm beautiful inside and out. I show gratitude for all the things I have internally and externally. Seeking validation from outside ourselves is dangerous. I have learned this truth the hard way. Melanie Beattie explained it in her book, The Language of Letting Go. Quote, most of us want the approval of others. In order to live happily, to live consistently with the way our higher power wants us to live, and to tap into a way of life that is in harmony with the universe, we need to let go of our extreme need for approval. These unmet needs for approval and love from our past give others control over us today. These needs can prevent us from acting in our best interests and being true to ourselves. We can approve of ourselves in the end. That's the only approval that counts, end quote. It's been my experience that when I truly practice lavishly loving myself, the validation I get from others is nice and very much appreciated. However, I don't go chasing after it or doing things to get attention because I already have it from myself. That brings me to a very important distinction. Self-love is not selfish. It isn't self-seeking nor self-centered. It is not, look at me energy. That is going outside ourselves for approval and validation, which is toxic and will only result in us being used and controlled. I spend very little time on social media, but when I do, I see a lot of people desperately looking for validation and attention. They may not even realize they're doing it, but it's apparent to me. Many of these people, mostly women who I've had conversations with, think they're displaying healthy self-love, but they aren't. Summer love can feel exciting, light, effortless, but self-love is what determines whether anything in your life is actually lasting. Summer doesn't change who you are. It simply removes structure, and what's underneath becomes easier to see. Many women come to me when they're in this exact place, where something that once felt exciting starts to feel misaligned, and they're trying to understand what they're actually experiencing. I invite you to stay with me because next we're going to look at what research and experts say about why this happens. If this conversation is resonating and you recognize yourself in what we're discussing, I invite you to apply for private coaching. I work privately with a small number of women each season who are ready to rebuild confidence, strengthen emotional boundaries, and make clear decisions in life and love. This is structured, focused work, not surface motivation. If you're navigating heartbreak or life transitions and you want grounded private support, you can apply at becomingpublishing.com. I personally review every application. Are you curious as to why we drift in unstructured environments? Behavioral psychology explains to us that humans default to immediate reward environments. In this state, decision fatigue often sets in. Psychologist Roy Baumeister and his colleagues found that self-control and decision-making draw from a limited pool of mental energy, a concept often referred to as ego depletion, outlined in research published in the late 1990s and early 2000s. When structure drops, as it often does in the summer, you're making more decisions throughout the day, and that can lead to more impulsive choices. Behavioral scientist Katie Milkman has studied how environmental cues influence decision-making, showing that changes in routine, like seasons, schedules, or social settings, can significantly impact behavior. So when summer hits your environment, it also shifts how your patterns show up. Research on emotional regulation, including the work of James Gross at Stanford University, showed that awareness is one of the most important factors in managing emotional responses and behavior. When you're aware of what you're feeling and why, you're more likely to respond intentionally rather than react automatically. As Dr. Wayne Dyer often taught, pressure, stress, and life circumstances don't create who you are. They reveal what's already within you. He used to explain that it isn't what happens to us that defines us, but rather how we react to it. He said, when you squeeze an orange juice comes out because that's what's inside of it. Quote, let's assume that this orange isn't an orange, but it's you, and someone squeezes you, puts pressure on you, says something you don't like, offends you, and out of you comes anger, hatred, bitterness, fear. Why? The answer is because that's what's inside, and what's inside is up to you. It's your choice, he wrote on his blog. Pressure reveals how you respond under stress, but the absence of pressure reveals what you default to. In a season like summer, where there's often less structure, what's within you can become even more visible. So when structure drops, you're not becoming someone different. You're defaulting to what's already been practiced. Even without pressure, you're still being revealed just through different behaviors. We let our guards down when we're more relaxed. That can often cause us to be more of ourselves than we would normally be. Behavior becomes more automatic and habit-driven when there is less structure or conscious control. I see it all the time when my husband and I go out on date nights. People relax and let their hair down. We see some strange and, quite frankly, less than elegant behavior. We see women dancing around for attention and men getting into arguments over meaningless topics. Research by Wendy Wood shows that a large portion of our daily behavior is automatic and driven by habits shaped by our environments, rather than conscious decision-making. Studies indicate that about 40% of daily actions are habitual. This means they occur without deliberate thought. When structure drops, you're not making more intentional decisions. You're defaulting to what's already been programmed. Research by Wood and David Neal revealed that habits are triggered by environmental cues and often operate independently of our current goals or intentions. Your behavior isn't always guided by what you want. It's guided by what your environment activates. In psychology, automaticity refers to behaviors that occur without conscious thoughts as a result of repetition and learning. What this actually means is that when you're not actively directing yourself, your automatic patterns take over. One clear example of this that I learned when studying cognitive psychology is driving a car. Once you learn the basics, it becomes automatic, especially when you drive your own car daily. When structure drops, your patterns don't disappear. They can take over. Research summarized by Duke University showed that environmental cues control much of human behavior, often overriding conscious intentions. This means that when your environment changes, like in summer, your behavior shifts, not because you changed, but because different patterns are being triggered. So, what you may experience this season isn't random. When structure drops, you're not being guided by your schedule anymore. You're being guided by your patterns. When your structures drop, your patterns don't disappear. They become easier to see. And that's why summer can either feel like a time where you lose yourself or a time where you finally see yourself clearly. You're not becoming someone different. You're being revealed in a different environment. You're always being revealed. The only question is whether you're paying attention to what you see. This is often the moment where something starts to feel off, but you can't quite explain why. If something in this conversation resonates with you, that moment deserves your attention. The Clarity Reset is a private session designed to help you see clearly what's happening beneath the surface and understand what your next step is. You can learn more or schedule anytime at becomingpublishing.com. I invite you to stay with me because next I'm going to show you how to move through this summer in a way that actually supports you. Many of the ideas we're exploring this season are expanded on in my newest book, Becoming Lavishly Loving, available on Spotify, my website, and most online booksellers. It explores intuition, emotional boundaries, and protecting your inner world with elegance. For women who are ready to apply this work in real time, not just understand it intellectually, I offer a private 3-month coaching container where we rebuild confidence and clarity from the inside out. You can learn more and apply at becomingpublishing.com. There actually is a way to move through summer without losing yourself. Here are a few things you can do to be and stay summer ready. 1. Stay aware of your patterns. Notice what's showing up, not just what's happening. I recommend going within to see what you're feeling and thinking without judgments. Be curious. Ask what you need to learn from this information. Feel the feelings and release them. 2. Don't confuse attention with alignment. I go back to what I said in episode 7 this season. One of the most important distinctions a woman can learn in her life and in her relationships is the difference between being wanted and being loved. Attention by itself often creates excitement. Love creates stability and emotional safety. Those two experiences feel very different over time. 3. Keep small anchors in your day. Doing things like keeping some type of routine and having check-ins with yourself will help anchor your summer days. 4. Choose environments intentionally. Not everything fun is aligned. Choosing environments that feed your soul and make you feel good will help. Being around people you aspire to be like or whom you can learn from are also wise choices. 5. Let the season reveal, not derail you. You don't need to control everything, but you do need to stay connected to yourself. If you see something in your behavior or thinking that you don't like, you can always make the decision to change it. You're that powerful. You can move through this summer distracted, or you can move through it transformed, but you don't get both. Many women come to me when they're in this exact place, where something that once felt exciting starts to feel misaligned. They're trying to understand what they're actually experiencing. Is anything in this conversation speaking to you? If so, I'm beyond honored to be part of your discovery process. If you've been quietly returning to these conversations, I invite you to follow the show on whichever platform you choose so these moments can meet you when you need them. If this episode resonates, I invite you to begin with my book, Becoming Lavishly Loving. If you're ready to explore your situation more personally, the Clarity Reset is available to you without an application. If you host a podcast or lead a community and feel this conversation would resonate, I'd be honored to be part of that. This is where awareness begins to become something more. This isn't about becoming someone new this summer. It's about seeing clearly who you already are and then deciding what you want to do with that awareness. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Becoming Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment. If something in today's conversation spoke to you and deeper focused support feels right, I invite you to explore private coaching at becomingpublishing.com. Until next time, stay elegant, stay empowered.
Becoming the magnificence in me, empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poison melody.